Alright, let me ask you something. If remaking old animated movies is such a safe bet, why do some of them make a ton of money and others completely fall apart? Because on paper, they should all work. A familiar title, a built in audience, recognizable characters, and yet some of these movies print money and others struggle to justify their budget. So, what's the difference? Because once you look at the timing, this all starts to make a lot more sense. Let's start with Lilo and Stitch. Released originally in 2002, which means the kids who grew up watching this movie are now adults. And not just adults, a lot of them are parents. So now you have something powerful happening. They're not just going to see a movie, they're taking their kids to see something they already love. That's two generations buying tickets for the same story. And when you keep the budget relatively controlled, let's say around $100 million, which is what Lilo and Stitch cost, all you need is a solid global turnout. Well, how about $1 billion? Because that's what this movie made. A movie that was originally slated for streaming only. Now you've got a clean win. So let's compare that to something else. Snow White. Same strategy, same idea, but this time you're going all the way back to 1937. That's not nostalgia anymore, that is ancient history. Now, here is the problem with that. The people who grew up with that version of the story are not the ones driving the modern box office. Not to be morbid, but the original Snow White fan base may not be with us at all anymore. There's no strong emotional bridge to a younger audience. So now, instead of tapping into a built-in, active fan base, you're trying to recreate one from scratch, and that's a completely different risk. Especially when the budget climbs to something like $270 million, because now you don't just need interest, you need demand. Massive demand. And if that demand isn't there, it doesn't matter that people recognize the name. Recognition without connection does not sell tickets. And Snow White did not sell tickets. Not enough anyway, only grossing in the neighborhood of 205 million worldwide, with suggested losses of up to $287 million. Now, let's look at something in the middle. The Little Mermaid. The original released in 1989. So that is teetering right on the edge. It's old enough to be nostalgic, but still close enough to modern audiences to have some connection. And sure enough, it makes money. 596 million worldwide. But with an estimated budget of around 350 million, it's not a runaway success. Most sources indicate it barely broke even after marketing and maybe even had a slight loss. So it's right in that gray area. And that's the pattern. Not all nostalgia is equal. Some of it is active, some of it is fading, and some of it was gone a long time ago, which means the real strategy isn't just remake something people remember, it's remake something the right generation still cares about. And when you hit that window, it works. And when you miss it, it becomes Snow White. And that's the part Hollywood is starting to figure out, because this isn't just about remakes. It's the same thing we're seeing with re-releases. Studios are trying to monetize familiarity, but familiarity only works if there's still an emotional connection. Otherwise, it's just a title. And as Snow White proved, a title alone is not enough anymore, which leads to the bigger question. What happens when every generation has already seen their nostalgia movie come back? What happens when the well runs dry? What's left after that? Because eventually, Hollywood runs out of past to sell. And when that happens, they have to go back to doing the thing that they've been avoiding this whole time. Taking a risk by creating something new and actually put some effort into it. But every now and then, you see what that looks like. Let's take the movie F1. Not a franchise film, built around a real-world concept starring Brad Pitt, and one of the top non-franchise performers of 2025, with a reported budget of around $300 million and a return of $634 million, making it the highest-grossing racing film to date. And I'm not counting the Fast and the Furious because no one considers those to be racing movies per se. Or How about the movie Weapons? $38 million budget, $130 million return globally, plus it's an Oscar winner. This one was profitable almost immediately. Small risk, big return, and high efficiency. These two movies prove you can still sell something new if the hook is strong enough. It also proves that audiences are ready for something new and will show up if it's given to them. You know, movies not just relying on recognition, but actually giving people a reason to care. Because at the end of the day, audiences don't just want something familiar, they want something worth remembering. Next week, we'll be talking about the rise in the popularity of video game movies and how a specific mindset shift in production has taken long-established IPs from the butt of the joke to the top of the box office. Now, like this video and subscribe to the damn channel, or I'm bringing back this exact same video in 10 years as a re-release and charging a premium for it.